You're listening to the Who is Christine Anyway podcast, season 2. Enjoy.
There's no malls. The Adirondack Park does not have a Walmart or a Burger King in it, statistically.
Yeah, why do you guys live up there? Why haven't you moved yet? What's the deal?
I was born in Saranac Lake, but I now live over by like Potsdam, where there's like somewhat.
I was born in Hackensack, New Jersey.
I would love to move. I have no problems with it. I suppose in the right circumstance. I think because my grandparents are getting older, I'd like to stick it out through that with them, being available to them. Because I
love that.
Of all their children and of all their family, I am 37. I have an aunt who's like 70 something. So that's a pretty big gap. And, just being able to be available, that and my children, it really has afforded, especially my oldest, it's really afforded her the ability to have a really strong relationship with my grandmother. And, the other girls have too, all the girls really. And I don't know, there's moments going up there that I really can appreciate. They have a screen porch I used to sleep on as a kid. And it's quiet there. The air pollution is, if you look at a night map of the Adirondack Park, it's one of the clearest skies. In fact, the Adirondack Park hosts this myriad of beautiful astronomy. And just, it's clean air. It's super clean air. They used to send people with tuberculosis up here.
Oh, I think I remember hearing about that.
Yeah. So it's
yeah, I watched a movie or something and I heard that.
So I was always damned to catch anthrax when I would go out to Cali or...
Yeah, because you have good, healthy lungs. Yeah, same. I never smoked anything in my entire life. So it was
yeah. And I haven't either. And imagine it's kind of one of those things where it's you're breathing in all this great oxygen. Everything's wonderful. And then it's kind of just picking up an entire carton of cigarettes and smoking it. And how many days am I in Cali? 5? One a day. So then I come back, I shouldn't say Cali specifically. I should say highly populated areas because it's more than just there. And then I come back and I end up ending up with, like you said, a chest infection or sinus infection, or because my body's just I got to get this crap out that has been accumulating in the alveoli or the sinus cavities or any of those areas, I guess. But we really have really cool stars and I guess, dicey Santa situation.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a dicey Santa situation. That sounds way cooler than not having a dicey Santa situation. I just got back into Christmas real hard this past Christmas. We bought a house in June and we wanted to make it a place where we have a lot of friends in Austin that don't have family here. So we were we can be the hub for bringing everybody together. We have such good friends here. So we would have everybody here for holidays. And it's making me reconnect with that kind of memory of having that, doing that as a kid. Mm-hmm. I'm with you. I think it's great that you stay up there because of family. I think that's one of the best reasons in the world. There's a lot of people who stay where they are because they don't know that they can leave, which is...
I love leaving. I'll hop a plane. No problem. I can't imagine. And my grandmother's kids are helpful. And, my grandmother's really independent for 86. My brother's up here too. And, I try to stay close to him and my other siblings or whatever. And it is a distance. And I don't know, this year it kind of hit me too. Although there's kind of a turf war for Christmas decorations going on, on my corner. It was funny because, we would decorate amazing. And then, across the street, the guy would decorate pretty great. He had a Santa that waved. We had a snowman that waved back. And then we get this new neighbor who moves in on the corner and he's a really nice guy. We're all really nice people to each other. And then I'm okay, this guy's amazing at decorating. And I'm okay, he kicked ass. He has a headless horseman, a life-size headless horseman.
Whoa.
Holy, this is badass. And then so Christmas comes, I'm what's he got? He just pulls out the 9s. And then you drive around the corner because he's right on the corner. And this guy has dedicated his sun porch to that 8-foot, the actual life-size Santa. And he's got a workbench and he's got actual toys and they're all working. It's legit a Santa's workshop. And so cool. This year how do you compete with that? So this year I must have fell and hit my head and I kind of it looked almost probably like a cartoon. I love National Lampoons. I probably was something like that. So I got the 8-foot plastic tree from Home Depot that you put together. That's fire to a bus and it goes in the ground. And then I had reindeer on one side that were also 5 or 6 feet. And then I also had, what's the other side? Each side had animals. And then I had the gigantic bulbs, the...
Oh yeah, I love those.
Yeah, I had those in the yard, and I had, the porch was decked out with lights, and it was, I'm like, listen, you got to do all white or all colors. You can't mix it up. It fucks with my head. So I'm all white, and it's really cool now with all the snow. It's completely buried. In fact, half of it's just gotten fucking hit by the snowplow, which is awesome because you can't get it out of the ground up here. Once it's in, I fail to understand thermodynamics, and I can't get the stakes out. Furthermore, how am I going to get? How am I going to get a fucking 8-foot tree in a car?
Yeah.
Or in a basement? Like, I'm like, I'm 5'3". This tree is, I had to get on a ladder to assemble said tree. And we just got, I think we had a snow day yesterday, and we're due to get like another.
I missed that.
Yeah, we got a ton of snow yesterday. And
I missed the snow so much. We got a little bit in Austin before NAMM, like right as we were getting ready to leave, there was a little snow on the ground.
It still gets cold down there, though, where you are, right? Like, legitimately cold, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was in the 30s last night, 20s last night. By the way, before we change topics, I'm going to email you a company that makes vintage True Tone light bulbs that are like vintage incandescent light bulbs for Christmas trees. That, like, the blue is like the truest blue possible. I know this is like overly nerdy, as you can imagine.
It's really not. It's not overly nerdy.
It is the best Christmas lights on the planet. Like, the blue is true blue. It's not that weird color. They have some type of specific paint that they use for the blue, from the ceramic of it. They're so sick, and they sell out so quickly for Christmas. So if you do get them, you want to order them way in advance because around Christmas time they sell out so quickly. But they're so nice, and even the box is like that mid-century kind of atomic age kind of look to it. They're just so sick. They're really cool. So I have to send it to you. I can't believe that we just nerded out about Christmas light bulbs.
I'm a complete geek for ambiance. That sounds so silly, but it's like
anybody who says ambiance is a geek, dude. Like, that's an instant like ambiance. Like, you look
ambiance. No, I actually, like, last year I went and found brown corded. So the cord had to be brown because I have old barn wood in my living room, like for the walls, which is
blend in.
Yeah, it was a blessing and it's a blessing and a curse because, like, I go to plug shit in and I'm like reaching behind the couch. I'm like, hey, and at the same time I'm like, fuck, I got 6 splinters,
Wow.
So I'm like, way too authentic. Fuck.
Is it like a cabin?
It's like a cabin. It's a tent city. No, it's an actual like, it's an igloo. No, it's a house. But it's,
I don't know what they would have up there.
we're real. Well, I'm gonna say another word. You're gonna get me on it. We're real big on shiplap.
The hell is that?
You don't know what shiplap is?
I'm looking it up.
I bet you are. So I'll work on my light story while you look up shiplap. What the hell? It's cedar shiplap, by the way. If you're
curious. I see what it is. Everything looks like a bar on the side of the road. I get it.
Yeah, it's like that bar bathroom that you're like, what the? But
the bathroom that I don't touch anything. I flush the toilet with my shoe.
I do that in like most bathrooms because I just know
my own.
Yeah, listen, when the kids there, I'm not risking anything. I don't know what they've got.
Aren't they all girls?
They are all girls, but girls are nastier than boys. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, they all straight, like, oh my God. They're just kids. They're just like, what do you mean? And they'll like crinkle up a paper towel and just huck it on the floor. I'm like, pick the fucking thing up. And they're like, it's dirty. I'm like, it's your dirt.
What are they thinking?
I don't know. But so we're on the brown cord, and they're like warm white light Christmas, the little ones, the little tiny Christmas lights, and they run around the ceiling of my living room. And I prefer that light 90% of the time over my ceiling fan because it's
nice. Ceiling fan lights are the worst. I had one in my studio when we moved in here. I told some guy, take it out. I don't want it. I gave it to my friend Pete. I was like, get that thing the fuck out of here. I hate that lighting. It doesn't do enough. Lighting is everything.
Yeah.
Plus, you and Brent are into photography and stuff. You know lighting matters.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, but when I come home, like when I'm coming off of work or I'm coming out of a situation where there is a bunch of lights, like, coming out of the convention centers or coming off of a stage or wherever, it seems like it's so much mental strain to have that much light.
Yeah.
So when I go home and I turn those lights on in my living room, it's super relaxing. And it's just, I don't know. It's kind of like a sigh because it's warm lighting at that point, and it does give my circadian rhythm. I know, another
Oh
nerd
yeah.
alert. It gives my circadian rhythm the ability to just kind of go, okay, we're not
Better
out in the
relax.
blue light. Yeah.
Yeah, blue light's so bad for you.
So funny story. I had an office like maybe 12 years ago, and my therapist was like, you should get one of those sun mimicking light bulbs, seasonal affective disorder, because, the sun comes out here, maybe. That's the whole statement, maybe.
Right.
And I was like, okay. And I didn't do any research on it. I just got this really cool light bulb and I cram it into my light thing and I turn it on. And I'm just like, my body does the circadian rhythm immediately gets so screwed up that I end up being awake for like the entire day and like into like 5 a.m. And I'm like, man, this is the day that never ends. Why is it? Because I didn't have any windows in my office. And I go out and I like look at the clock and I'm like, oh, I should have went to bed. It's like 5 something. Kids have got to be up for school in an hour. Like, no, I just shoved the kids off to school and just took a nap because at that point, what do you do? But I never touched those daylight bulbs again because
they really threw you off that bad.
They will. If you get the right ones, like I didn't skimp. I had bought like the ones that she had given me the direct. She's like, these are the ones that are like medical grade.
I'm gonna have to implement a little bit of this because I can fight through for a deadline. I can work till 6 a.m. if I have to, and then get up the next day in like a normal hour. So if I use my overhead lights, I can do that. But if I like calm my room down and like put it in more like an ambient kind of setting, yeah, I'll go to sleep. That's so interesting.
Smart bulbs. I got some of those. They're not that. I didn't get like the fancy schmancy expensive ones. I got other types of ones, and I can control them from my phone. But they also have the ability to switch into daylight mode or into warm light mode. So like I have one right here next to me. If I want to work all night, I can keep it on. And then if I'm getting I'm like, okay, I'm getting down towards the end of where I need to be work wise, I will switch it to warm light. So my body begins to wind down. And then I just get the fuck out of here before I fall asleep on my desk.
Oh, you fall asleep on your desk. I've done that. Put my head on the desk while I'm like listening back to something I wrote. And I'm like, oh, but I'm falling asleep. Maybe I should stop.
I really feel like you haven't worked until you wake up with like the desk line across your forehead for your head hitting the edge and just holding it up like and the neck pain, like the permanent suspension neck pain. And they're like, you need better ergonomic chairs. I'm like, I need to fucking go to bed on time is what I need. But okay. So yeah, no, but send me that. I love
Yeah, I did. I sent it to you. They make the the candle glow style too. So like I would say, you know how gear guys are, right? Like I would say that these lights are like the hand wired, like class A style lights. Basically, they're super high quality, but they sell out very quickly. So it's one of those things like it feels dumb to buy it before Christmas, but that's the only way you're going to get them.
You have to buy before Christmas. It'll probably be, realistically priced too.
I hope they blow up though. I hope these end up in retailers at some point because it would be nice if you could get these things easily, but their website's so good too. Everything about I can't believe I could think to myself, oh, it's so mid-century modern.
Wow,
It's a
I was
website.
say you're showing your age. You're like, look how great this fluorescent light website is.
I am such an old man. I'm an old soul, and I always have been, and I can't help it.
There's nothing wrong with that. And you know what's really funny though is like during COVID. So COVID happens, music industry slows down. It doesn't quiet down. People are producing at home, and venues and stuff are obviously closing and whatever. So I go get a day job. And I end up working at Harbor Freight. I ended up being a supervisor at one point. And that job was like,
I think I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, I think you were around when I was working there and I was talking to you about it. And it was like the most sitcom funny job ever. My boss was a friend I'd went to school with since like middle school. So it was just the most shenanigans of like, I don't know, he just made it fun. But they have really amazing lights. And that sounds really weird to say. But they have like these really interesting long lights that every time they'd come in stock, they'd throw of course they throw a coupon for them. People would get droves of them for their shops because it creates like really good lighting.
Right.
And I didn't believe them until I set up a display one day and I was like, actually, like this is a really cool hidden gem.
I love Harbor Freight. I go there all the time.
I had so much fun there. It's just, and I don't mean like fun, like, yeah, we did our shenanigans and stuff, but like working there was just, I always used to tell people, I'm like, well, if you can, if you can sell cheap Chinese shit this way, then I can sell anything. It's kind of one of those things. I'll always do marketing experiments that I go way out of my field
Yeah,
to
that makes
keep my
sense.
to keep my edge. Because if I can market this, then this will take and make this seem more easy or more approachable as a project.
That makes sense.
It's kind of one of those things like, could you imagine if you just like, you're like, I'm really composing a bunch of metal right now. I'm gonna try to write a country song just to kind of try to see if I can, loosen up that.
Yep.
It's just kind of one of those weird type things. In marketing, you have to kind of, it's creative, it's evolving. So it kind of gets, hard.
I was composing. There's a lot of crossover there.
Have you ever thought of like working with high school students or like trying to go into a high school and like, can you help the spring concerts up here?
Oh, oh, working with high school students. I see what you're saying. I thought you meant like teach them, tell them how to become composers. I would happily do that.
Oh, I think that'd be so fun if you just kind of like came up here or anywhere really and just kind of like, okay, kids.
You would want Sydney to do that. She's the one who could do that. I'm not that person. So I don't know if you know this.
So you be the brains, she'll be the muscle.
Well, no, she's the brains as well. Like she so I'm composing for Riot for 2XKO, and I write all the music, and that's great and everything like that. I write the strings, the brass, the guitars, like everything has to get done, right?
Right.
But then it's got to go to a live orchestra, and that requires a very specific type of person who focused deeply on arranging and orchestrating and music theory and understanding band environments, and like orchestra band, and that's her job. She does that for the game that I'm working on. So she's, like we live in the same house. Obviously, we're engaged and everything. So I'm composing, she's orchestrating in the other room, and then that music gets given to the conductor, and then the conductor tells everybody what to do. So Sydney would be the person for that. Yeah, she's.
You guys are like the dream team.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We're pretty lucky that we found each other. It's
I love the school my kids go to. I really do. They're fantastic, and we've had some really great experiences with them and whatnot. Working in music, this would probably make you scream too. It's kind of one of those things. So you go to the concerts and you sit, and we always sit in the same spots. All of us do. Like we all come as a giant unit to support the kids, and we're sitting there, and the way they do it is like vocal band, and they break down the drums on the stage, walk them down. I'm like, why don't you just do all the vocal first?
Right.
And then bring the drums up and then do all the band. And I've said it like probably 15 times and it just never changes. So now it's gotten to the point where it's like, at first you're like, oh, come on. And now we're just all passive aggressive back there with like fruit snack pouches trying to be like, like, yeah, we know. Like, why? Like, and then the musical is like a month before that. So the musical is beautiful. The stage hands are amazing. And then we get to the concert and they're like the struggle bus.
Oh, yeah.
Happens at Christmas too. I guess
requires so much focus and I don't know. I was never that kid either.
Yeah, I don't know. But orchestra's fun though. I always like the full body sounds of that. Do you overall, obviously you like composition and you really have shown, these types of spots and stuff. And you said yourself, you don't feel like touring is in the future.
Yeah, unless, like if Riot wants to do 2XKO live, which they might, I'd be down to do that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I like the metal, the metal thing, like just straight up metal band type of stuff for me right now is like I love being a part of it, like on the back end, like working on production elements and stuff for bands, which, I'm still going to do. And I get asked to do it a lot and I love it. When it's a band I really like, I say yes all the time. But in terms of like the logistics of like being in a metal band and stuff like that, I just can't do it. My job is I have the best job in the world, in my opinion. Like for somebody who wants to be a musician, I have the best gig in the world. I think that's why I have so many like really good connections with musicians that I respect and love, because they are also like interested in this. And it's so weird when it's like, you're friends with somebody who's in a band that was like one of the biggest bands ever when you were a kid.
Mm-hmm.
and they're interested in what you have, and it's like, are you serious? You want to do this? That's so weird. It's because they know.
Fucking Matrix.
Yeah, it's just wild because it's like such a cool gig, and I mean, I'm not making like background music, like I'm actually making music that's like really cool for these games. And Riot in particular, I love Riot so much. I have zero negative things to say about Riot. There's not one instance of like, wow, this sucked. It's just been full tilt, the best experience, dream state type of experience I've had for over 2 years now. They consider themselves a record label that makes video games. That's how much they care about
See, I
video
like
games.
that.
Yeah, but they're also one of the biggest video game companies in the world. They make Arcane for Netflix. They have League of Legends. They have Valorant. Like, they're huge.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And meanwhile, they care about music just as much, if not more, than anything. And they actually do have Riot Games Music, which is like their record label side.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some of the biggest, the biggest music in the world right now is coming out from companies like Riot. So, the soundtrack for Arcane is enormous. They have fictitious groups, kind of like Death Clock style, where they do actually have like a Death Clock style band called Pentakill, which is a metal band. It's huge. And then they also have KDA, which is a fictitious, it's characters from League of Legends doing K-pop, and it's like platinum selling. Like, it makes no sense. It's crazy.
Things don't have to make sense in the artistry world, though. That's the thing. I think a lot of people go like, well, this is of this, and it has to.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to make sense. And that often, like, when you listen to some music that sounds chaotic, and people go, well, this isn't music. I'm like, no, you're right. It's art.
So good. Yeah.
It's different. There's a
Yeah, you're
difference.
so good. But yeah, Riot makes sense. So they care, and the attention to detail that goes into music. Like, I think it would be really challenging for guys in bands specifically, or guys and gals, whoever, to try and do this for a company like them, because the scrutiny that you go through is so forensic. The amount of changes that are made and like the amount of suggestions, like, you have to be as good as a music brain as you have to be a cooperative and objective person. Like, you have to be able to see other people's perspectives of things and like trust other people, and that's really hard to do as an artist, typically speaking, for musicians. So it's kind of like the second skill set is like people skills and flexibility.
Keep listening for the next part of this episode. Visit www.whoischristineanyway.com for access to all the social media links and additional podcast episodes. A special thank you goes out to Jesse Zuretti for appearing on this episode. I hope he comes back on soon to continue the conversation. Also, thank you to the audience for listening. It's greatly appreciated.